political platform that appeals to thousands of citizens in his district who want jobs, health care, and other signs of socioeconomic comfort associated with the high-end grocery franchise. Like, that is the good... That's a good point there. That's a good point there, buddy. Like, they don't want... Like, they want to be able to get to the point where they can actually get for themselves all the things a Whole Food has. So it was easy to believe him last week as he drew crowds campaigning alongside Sanders. At one, and I was surprised Bernie Sanders, like that's going to be it. Bernie Sanders is, if he's known for one thing, he's known for filling stadiums, filling crowds, all that stuff. Sanders joined a small parade making its way through downtown Ames, where Autumn had bought a carpet of yellow, where Autumn had brought a carpet of yellow ginkgo leaves to the sidewalk, and crisp brick storefronts oozed with small town appeal. Of course, that was the situation. It was the Levy small town feel. Sanders trailed a small float topped by a papier-mâché clock tower and cardinal, both Iowa State symbols. And then the Schulten for Congress rally was going on. And then the now iconic Sioux City Stew, that's his bus that he travels the district, and that followed. Powered again, of course, by ethanol, and emblazoned with his logo. Standing tall for all, the van has been home to the 6'6" former ball player as he's visited every county in the district, often just sleeping in Walmart parking lots. If you want to change, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. And then he says, I promise you, for the last 15 months, I've been uncomfortable. And that's actually pretty cool stuff there. So Steve King being challenged by people who support Medicare For All, free public college, like that kind of stuff is so important. A new poll has Steve King up by 1 point in districts that Trump carried by 30, which is incredible. Progressives in this red, for now, state seem particularly eager to have someone or a pair of someone to be excited about, with a deadly combination of J.D. Schulten out there, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's not every year that a candidate emerges who inspires a trip to the polls, and it's not every day that he's willing to campaign with Bernie Sanders in rural Iowa. As a woman with a hand-drawn Be a Voter sign passed on by the parade, one little boy asked, "Can I be a voter?" Which is pretty cool. It's pretty cute. It said, "You can eventually," said his mom or dad, or his parent, according to this Intercept article here, which is pretty cool. Leslie Cockburn also, she has been pretty strong to the left. Another can't deserving a shout out there. She's argued for some pretty interesting stuff, like $15 minimum wage, important for workers, so that they don't put in a full week's worth and still remain in poverty. Farmers, she noted, get subsidies from the government because we as society decide that farms are important to have as an end in themselves, both for what they produce and their value to local culture. Why can't small business be treated as equally important? And it makes a lot of sense. Like, give the small businesses some support there as well, and the government really should subsidize wage costs, which is pretty cool. And it spits right back in the face of people who say, "Oh, small business, it's gonna be too much to handle." You know what? Have the government pay for them or subsidize their wage costs. Like, that seems to be a pretty cool thing to do. All right, we got that, and we now going to turn to our next story, which has another progressive candidate in it as well. Leading progressive organizations have all joined together now for a final 6-week ad buy for the heavily outspent progressive Kara Eastman in the Nebraska 2nd Congressional District. Shout out to Kara Eastman, even as a corporate Democratic group getting early victory lap, and we all know what corporate Democrats do with early victory laps. They normally get dizzy and fall flat on their face. That features a Trump voter touting Eastman's support for Medicare For All and a rare rebuttal to the enduring conservative barrage against the idea. Two groups that had declined to back her during the primary, Emily's List and the House Majority PAC, the main independent expenditure arm for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which is in charge of electing House Democrats, are helping fund the ad. Emily's List controversially declined to endorse Eastman in her contest with a male Democrat, Representative Brad Ashford, with an anti-abortion record. Ashford had the backing of the DCCC. Just 2 weeks ago, though, House Majority PAC pulled ads for Eastman's bid against incumbent Representative Don Bacon. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. In a district, Trump won by only 2 points. We're going to start pulling ads now. I really appreciate it. The withdrawal of support had officials from Third Way crowing. Third Way co-founder Jim Kessler maintained on Twitter that Nebraska's second race was a race we should be winning. So how about we actually try to win it? Oh, wait. The candidate's unfortunately too far left. Oh, my gosh. One of the few hashtag Bernier Nation. That's not a hashtag. Dems to win a competitive primary. Lost opportunity. Yeah, one of the few. All right. We just talked about, like, there's like 40. In a group that was founded this year, Justice Democrats, there's like 30, 35 plus. Yeah, and there's a ton of other progressive candidates. Like, look at Our Revolution. Look at the Progressive Committee for Campaign Change Committee, or whatever it's called, the PCCC. Like, you want to find some progressive candidates there, and I hope that you get no power and you lose all the power that you have, please. The race has become a flashpoint for a meta-argument between the D.C.-based liberal and centrist groups over how best to win the elections in the age of Trump, kind of like an AOC situation. Eastman, a public health nonprofit executive, which is pretty cool, a good progressive job to have, was one of the only 2 insurgent candidates to defeat a DCCC-backed challenger in a primary this year. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley were both of them. Beat incumbents. If Eastman wins a general election, a blow would be dealt to the well-worn argument that Democrats must trim the sails in swing seat races, get the left out of the conversations, the role of money, as Eastman is being outspent 2-1 when Republican outside money is factored in. And what she's got to be doing there is just knocking on doors, talking to people there, and getting out her true message before it gets manipulated, which it undoubtedly is by conservative people. And yeah, that seems to be what she's going to do. It seems to be pretty much her only option. Well, 5:30, a forecast the race as a top-up. Several polls show Eastman trailing in the mid-to-high single digits. This has delighted people like Third Way's Jonathan Cowan, who went after Eastman in a debate this month, calling Eastman a Bernie-style populist. Cowan claims she's getting crushed and proving we can't win general elections with a set of socialist ideas and candidates that most Democratic primary voters have just rejected. All I have to say that is, please leave to the Republican Party. Please go. We don't want you. Please leave. Like, that's pretty much all I'm going to say. Because, what evidence does that have? What evidence, since 2016, if you look at all the most recent polls, Democrats support Medicare for All in overwhelming numbers, free college in overwhelming, there is no evidence that, according to any poll ever put anywhere, any question ever put, it's even close, at least in the Democratic. I love how people are now claiming the Democratic base. It's just not going to work. Adam Green, who's the co-founder of the Progressive Change Committee, or PCCC, which produced this Medicare for All ad, that's what it is, criticized the centrist message. They are barking from the sidelines. We all want her to win. Some of us did something about it, and some of us did something against it. But he said some of us didn't. But some of the people actually did something against it, which is pretty incredible. The TV ad, which will run through Election Day on broadcasting cable, features lifelong Republican Jeff Schlichting, who voted for Donald Trump in 2016, touting the competitive advantage businesses would gain if America switched to a Medicare for All style program. As a financial analyst, I know that American businesses pay too much for health insurance, giving foreign companies an advantage. But Democrat Karen Eastman knows if all Americans could get Medicare, it would save money for families and businesses, and we could increase benefits for seniors. The missing addresses 2 complaints about Medicare for All that have been beamed into homes this election season by Paul Ryan's CLF, Congressional Leadership Fund, typically highlighting that Medicare for All will cost $32 trillion over 10 years, a misleading figure that does not take into account that this would decrease national health expenditures by at least $2 trillion, which is pretty cool. So there's that, and then hopefully Kara Eastman wins this fight. So you can go support her. Just go to her website. She's a Justice Democrat. Support her on that, justicedemocrats.com. And yeah, please do it. All right, we're going to end the day on this amazing clip. So what you're about to hear, is the CNN legal analyst, Mr. Jeffrey Toobin. And he's about to go in on Chris Kobach.
The voter law that you tried to pass in your state was actually ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge, a George W. Bush appointee. So your critics say, are you really a legal scholar? I know you did go to Yale Law School, and I certainly didn't. I couldn't even get in, or not that I applied, but I know because I couldn't even get in if I had. But there's, your critics say that you're not an expert on the Constitution either. In fact, you were ordered to go to like 6 hours of extra classes on the law by this federal judge.
Look, I taught constitutional law at the University of Missouri for 15 years.
Feel bad for those students.
It is often the case, in cases like this that are very controversial and where there's some gray area in the law, that a judge will have an opinion, and that judge will be overruled, and then the Supreme Court will rule in as well. I think Jeffrey would agree that just because you have a district judge who doesn't agree with you on a case doesn't mean that you're not going to see a different decision come out of the Court of Appeals. That case is being appealed. And that the position that the judge took, by the way, that a state cannot require voters to prove citizenship when they register, that argument was rejected by the Ninth Circuit about 10 years ago.
Well, Chris
all right, so yeah, just going to pause it right there pretty quickly. Just so you know, we're talking about the only thing Chris Kobach has ever on to talk about, his racist voter suppression laws in Kansas, targeting black people pretty much. Yeah, so now we get to the good part.
The notion that,
Chris has devoted his career to stopping black people and poor people from voting. I mean, that's been your goal for decades.
That is an outrageous accusation.
Well, it's completely true.
That is an absolutely outrageous accusation. So if you like photo ID, you're trying to stop people of color from voting?
Absolutely.
That is outrageous.
Absolutely.
And by the way, when this question is pulled, the vast majority of African Americans approve of photo ID. So apparently they're trying to do what you're saying I'm trying to do. That is outrageous. It is such a horrible accusation.
It is a completely true accusation because, Chris, your whole career has... that's why you had this phony voter suppression commission that was such a preposterous joke established by the president that it disbanded because it couldn't prove your claim that voter fraud is a problem in this country. Your problem is that some people vote for Democrats, and you want to stop that by establishing voter requirements.
Let's not go down.
I'm glad we're having a respectful argument here. This is so good for the viewers to have this.
Well, Chris, let me ask.
It is actually very, very good. By the way, credit to Jeffrey Toobin. It is very good for viewers to have this argument, especially those who happen to be in Kansas because Chris Kobach is running for governor there. Boom. Thunder from Jeffrey Toobin there. I love it. Absolutely love it there. Yeah, that's what you got to do. That is what you got to do. I love it you stage it so plainly because it's so incredibly true. Like, that's what he is. It's just as simple. It's literally, it's not that hard. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have that much to get into, but we're going to just let you know. So what we got for the midterm elections going on, 9 a.m. We're possibly maybe able to Glenn Bradford, our political analyst, host with us, join us today for the 9 a.m. hour of our live election shows, and of course at 12, that's a prediction show. That's when we know like about 10 people on. We're going to talk about the predictions, and then 2 p.m. We don't really know what we'll do there. 8 p.m. is going to be when the results come in. We're going to have everyone on rotating interviews, all that stuff, all the good stuff. And guess what? You're going to hear some people you never heard before, and it's going to be pretty cool. So, yeah, on that note, thank you so much for joining us here today. Hopefully you have a great Friday. We got Red Alert coming your way tomorrow morning, and this Monday we're going to have a final Red Alert for you before the election. It's Newsflash.